Hey everybody, welcome. Just getting all set up here. So I'm just gonna give 1 sec until I get the A-OK. Hey everybody, welcome to Wellness for Wealth TV, where we talk about real life and business strategies to help you thrive as an entrepreneurial woman. I am so excited because we have a very special guest expert, Ali Meehan, founder of Costa Women. I am your host, Natalia, aka Nat, and we're gonna get started. Now, yesterday, I asked the question, do you identify yourself as an introvert, extrovert, or somewhere in between? And we got quite a lot of engagement, quite a lot of different answers from you. And I'm just actually going to go to my page just to make sure that we are live. Now, for those of you that don't know Ali, she is fabulous. I met her last year, no, it wasn't last year. It was probably a couple of years ago now at a Costa Women event. And we bonded over 3 words: make it happen. And if you notice, we're both wearing the same, totally like, didn't even plan that. But I met Ali, we bonded over these 3 words. You know, my success system is make it happen. And her motto, everything that she stands for, is make it happen as well. So she's going to talk about that. But we are so excited to be here with you. As you are logging in, let us know if you identify as an introvert, extrovert, or somewhere in between, because we're going to dispel some myths around all of the 3, definitely the one being an introvert as an entrepreneurial woman. But Ali, before we get into it, I want to open the floor to you, because for those of us that don't have the privilege of knowing you and working with you on a regular basis, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you founded Costa Women, and then we'll get into the conversation.
Sure. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on, Natalia. It's great to see you, and hopefully see you again soon. I started Costa Women in 2010 because I wanted friends, basically. Something very simple. I always think if you start a business with something that's a need you want, it works well, because you already know, you can identify with what the wants and needs are immediately. So I started in 2010, so this year's our 10th anniversary. It's a community for, it's a community for women that are living in Spain or women that are thinking about moving to Spain. We're currently just tipping over 9,000 members. We have 32 groups around Spain that meet up on a regular basis. Over the lockdown, I think we hosted over 100 events on Zoom. So I wish I'd bought shares in Zoom, because I'd be a very wealthy woman. And we do both business and social events. So it isn't just for business women, and it's not just a social community, it's a bit of both, because after all, we aren't our businesses, we are humans to begin with, before we are our business owners.
Yeah, that is so true. And actually, I'm so glad you touched on that, because I was watching something yesterday, and it was around, you know, how sometimes we identify ourselves as our business, like we are the business, but actually we are the business owner of our business, you know? So we're talking about introverts, extroverts, and somewhere in between, which I actually didn't even think there was a term for that. So should we talk about, you know, introverts and this sort of myth that, you know, maybe you wouldn't be as successful, you have to be an extrovert, only introverts can be, or only extroverts can be outgoing and confident, and you know, maybe we dispel that.
Well, I always say I'm an introvert with an extrovert as an inner mentor. Because essentially I am an introvert, but I think when people hear the term introvert, they think of people that maybe suffer from anxiety or from social concerns when they, not wanting to be social. But there's actually other parts of being an introvert. There's someone that thinks a lot, so they get very introspective and think a lot, which is something that I tend to do, as my friends will tell you. And also you tend to be a bit more restrained, so you take a while to think things through and where you want to get going. So that in essence is an introvert. But my friend Jules Taggart, ages ago, she used to have a company called Amp and Pivot, and she came up with this term which I'd never heard before, called an ambivert, which is a balance of the dictionary definition is a balance of an extrovert and an introvert featuring in someone's personality. And I would say that I'm an introvert, but because of what I do with Costa Women and Costa Women TV and all the different parts that fit the puzzle of Costa Women, I have to be an extrovert in lots of ways, but in my soul, I'm an introvert, or an ambivert even. But yeah, I think a lot of people don't think that you can be successful as an introvert because they don't really want to put themselves forward and get out there. But some people that you may not be aware that were introverts are Albert Einstein, who made the statement, "The monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulates the creative mind." So I'm into that one. Mahatma Gandhi was an introvert. Denise Duffield Thomas, gotta love her. She's an introvert.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and Amy Porterfield is also an introvert. So people that I think are successful are introverts. And that just proves that you can be an introvert. You don't have to be out there and pushing yourself forward all the time. By being an extrovert, you can be an introvert. I also happen to think introverts make the best networkers.
Oh, what makes you say that?
Because I think life is, it's all about the other person. So the focus really isn't on me if I'm networking, it's on the other person. So I don't need to be so concerned about being an introvert because the focus really should be on who I'm talking to. So that's why I think introverts make the best networkers. They also tend to listen more, I think, because they're not, extroverts can sometimes, not all of them, but sometimes be more concerned about themselves and what's going on around them, whereas introverts can be more concerned about the other person and what's happening with the other person. So
that's so important too, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, to have everything revolve around our dream clients, our clients that we love to work with.
Yeah.
So Corral is here, and Jayanthi is here, and Sarah is here. So it's so great to have you ladies. Curious if you guys want to share and share how you identify yourself as introvert, extrovert, or ambivert, now that we know what that term is. So yeah, it's really interesting. I think a lot of the time, especially when you're starting out as an entrepreneur, you do take your business very personally. And I mean, we all take our businesses very personally because they're like our babies.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
But, I think as an introvert, especially, it is good to remember that, or it is good to be aware of it and know how we can use those as strengths, like you said, as focusing on, the other person, being a better listener, not having, and you don't have to like be this, extrovert, like, oh, look at me, not extrovert, not that extroverts are like, look at me, but they just seem to have an easier time. Maybe that's too much of a generalization, but Sarah says she's apparently a dynamic introvert.
Yeah, love that.
So I guess what are some tips, or like, how did you get comfortable? I mean, of course, the awareness is where we start, like just knowing, you know, what is an introvert? What are the qualities, and how can I then use those as strengths in my business?
Yeah.
And same would go for the opposite. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm an extrovert. How can I use this? How can I leverage this to, you know, my advantage and really expand and thrive as an entrepreneur, as a business owner?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very important that we identify with who we are. And I mean, you shared about the horoscope, your persona from your horoscope perspective. I think that we're made up personally of lots of different bits and pieces. Like I'm an Aries. Joe Solly will tell you that I'm a 22. So I've got big endeavours planned for my life. But I'm also an introvert, but I'm not going to let that stop what I want to do. So I've got to get out of my own way, which I think is the important thing. I started really because I didn't want it to be about me. So one thing that I started doing quite early on was actually interviewing people, because then it's not about me, it's about the other person. And I always recommend that for women that are starting out their businesses and want to get more in the limelight, but don't want it to be them that's in the limelight, is to start an interview podcast series, YouTube, whatever it is, and put the other person in the spotlight, but it is your platform that you're doing it through.
That's a great, it's a great strategy.
The other thing I learned quite early on was using Twitter, which I love. Twitter's probably still my favorite social media platform. We do fall out a bit occasionally, but you know, we make up. And Twitter's great because you can connect with people that you don't necessarily know or have within your sphere of influence, and just start conversations and be random, but you're online and you're sort of hidden behind the Twitter wall, as it were. So you can be quite relaxed about sharing stuff without being so worried that people are, you know, going to see you while you're doing it. So I really love Twitter from that perspective. And I think if you use it right, it can have big effects on your business as well.
We'll have to have you for a Twitter strategy session.
Okay. Yeah. Because once you start using it properly, and there's some very small tweaks that you can make that do make a lot of difference on using Twitter. But yeah, finding the platforms, obviously it's important to find the platforms where your clients are. So if your clients aren't on Twitter, don't use Twitter. But yeah, you can do some
definitely good to know.
Small,
I mean, good to keep
tweaks.
in mind.
Yeah. And often we stick with people that are in our own comfort zone, which is not necessarily the right thing to do, because there's a whole world out there that you can connect with, and Twitter's great for that because it will take you out of your comfort zone, but slowly, and you can connect with other people in the world.
That's awesome. Sarah says, take a look at Introvert's Corner. Fascinating insights. So it's a comment in that you can see. She's got the link there. So if anyone wants to check it out.
Okay.
No, I think that's, you know, you've got some really, really good tips and strategies, because especially when you're starting out as an entrepreneur or a business owner. And I mean, I think there's a lot of coaches out there that will say, you know, like, go live, like get over, like just, you have to, you know, get visible and all this other stuff, which is really important. But, you know, as someone who used to be absolutely petrified of public speaking, which you would probably never think that was ever the case, but I used to be absolutely petrified of public speaking. And there's so many people that have that same fear. And you know, it's true, like just take baby steps. You don't have to go all out. I love the strategy of, you know, starting an interview podcast series. And even on podcasts, you're not in front of the camera. So, you know, you could do it Facebook Live. Of course, like video is great, you know, with the stress. Sorry about the noises, but yeah, it's a great strategy for anyone who, whether you're introvert or extrovert and you're feeling a bit shy, or you're like, oh, I'm gonna get out there, everyone's gonna see my stuff. And of course we have these I'm gonna say like insecurities, like what are people gonna think of me? You know, I'm fearful of being judged or whatever else. But I think, you know, it takes a lot of courage to just come out and say, I want to start a business. And I think once you have and utilize that courage, you can really just, again, like take baby steps.
Yep.
So that was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing you can do is, if you're going to a networking event and you are worried, then connect with the person that's hosting the networking event and ask them to introduce you to an extrovert, because then it will be easier for you, you know, to be standing next to an extrovert who's a bit louder, and you can get the lay of the room, as it were, and get a bit more chilled and relaxed into the whole zone of the thing. With videoing, Costa Women have actually set up a testing group on Facebook. And when we recently did a big pop-up shop where we had 10 shopkeepers, and one of the things we wanted them to do was to actually go live during the weekend. And quite a few of them had never done it before. So we set up this testing group on Facebook, and in there they could just go and have a play and go live, and we could just say, yes, you know, brilliant, just move your camera here, do that, just tweak a bit, just to get them used to it. Of course, you can also record a video on Zoom and then use that as a live to start with. You don't have to go live. But in my experience, when you do record, you're probably on about your 30th recording. It's never quite right, is it? So sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and go live.
Just make it happen.
Just make it happen. Exactly.
No, I know it. And it does. Practice makes progress, everybody. Like, yeah. So, yeah, I think Ali's got some great tips, great strategies. And, you know, do you want to share a little bit with what you're working on right now in Costa Women? Like, by the way, the pop-up shop was absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
But yeah, what's next for Costa Women, for Ali?
Well, we have Costa Women TV, which we hopefully will be starting to record again soon. So that's on YouTube. I have an annual planner, which I'm in the middle of redesigning the next one for next year. So that's a make it happen planner. So, yeah, just have to get that in there. Hopefully going to be starting some groups in different areas of Spain as well. And I'm just about to finish a coaching course that I've done with Tina Willen. She has something called the Avenue Method. So I'm just finishing her business coaching course, which I've been doing over the lockdown. And then if people are thinking about moving to Spain, we have relaunched the Spain Expo, which is a research website really that's got interviews by over 30 experts in different areas about moving to Spain and how you can do it and tips and things. So we're pretty busy at Costa Women headquarters, aka my kitchen. And I'm very fortunate that I've got Lorraine Williamson helping me at the moment, because there's a lot going on. Unfortunately, she's very creative like I am. So rather than us getting rid of stuff off the plate, we're building more.
I don't think you're alone. I think, you know, especially as entrepreneurs and women, we're just creative like that. There's so many of us that, I mean, I'm the same. I don't know if you guys are, tell me you guys, if you guys are experiencing this. It's just like, oh, idea. And actually in Ali's Make It Happen planner, she has a whole page dedicated to stuff that you want to do later.
Yeah, writing it down, because it is important to capture that idea. Absolutely. And write it down. But sometimes you just have to do it. the book by Elizabeth Gilbert, Magic. I don't know if you've read it.
I've not read it, no.
Okay, it's really good. But in there, she tells the story of a book that she had planned and she was going to write, and she never quite got around to writing it. And she bumped into somebody at a book convention, and this woman literally had the whole same story and had written the book. So she always says in Big Magic, you should if you've got an idea and it's a really good idea, you just have to, sometimes you just have to go for it, make it happen and launch it. Because, you know, it's like almost the ideas are out there in the ether and people are grabbing at them, and you just need to grab it and run with it.
Yeah.
As difficult as it may be for whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, an ambivert, or whatever you are. Yeah.
Anywhere in between.
Yeah. Anywhere in between. Yeah.
Carl says, exactly. We all just need to make it happen.
Yeah.
So that's right, ladies. You have to just make it happen. Introvert, extrovert, ambivert, whatever. It's
and I think the thing is, whatever your personality type is, don't let that get in the way of what you want to do. Don't say, I can't do that because I'm XYZ, because, you know, then you won't do anything. Yeah.
It's like, you know, one of my favorite quotes, Henry Ford, you know, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's all about the can attitude. It's all about who you surround yourself with, which is one of the reasons I'm so grateful to you, Ali, and thankful to you for having such an amazing network, Costa Women, because I know when I got to Spain, I knew nobody. And I was like, I knew that I wanted to be there, but I've just made so many incredible connections, and I've loved, you know, getting to know all of the women in there, and I'm excited to get back. But if anyone wants to move to Spain, Ali is your lady. And for anyone that wants to talk more or get more information about Costa Women, how can we get a hold of you?
So you can, costawomen.com is completely free to join. So if you're thinking about moving to Spain, or you're in Spain, we'd love to have you as a member. But you can contact me through, I'm on your page, or you can contact me through Facebook. I'm at Costa Women in most social media platforms, apart from TikTok, and I've just decided I'm too old. I'm too old for TikTok, but everywhere else I am there. Yeah. So just at Costa Women and you'll find me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's been so great. And I thank you so much for sharing those strategies. I think, you know, like we said, whatever your personality type, these are amazing tips. And Elizabeth, hey, she says that too. She's like, great advice. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. It's been such a great episode. So great to have you here, Ali. And we will see you next week.
Yeah. Woohoo.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Have a great day, evening, wherever you are. Bye.